Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander flying solo once again. We are going to take a look at Game 2 and a couple of the updated series odds that we have here for these NBA Finals. We saw Chris Paul and company handle business really in Game 1. There was a lot of interesting stats, a few things that happened in that game that I think were a bit of an anomaly, actually, when you look specifically at the Bucks and how poorly they played. We'll talk about some of the individual performances. Giannis showing up for Game 1, playing big, looking almost like himself, clearly a little bit hobbled, but 20 points, 17 boards, set the tone by catching a nice alley-oop off the bat right at the jump of the game. I believe that was their first points for the Bucks, setting the tone for how he was going to be playing. But, you know, we will see how that turns out and how things shake up in Game 2. As always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find all those listings available in your area as we turn down to these end of these NBA Finals and the NBA season really here. And if you still are not liked and subscribed to the page, make sure to do so. Jump in the comments. We offered a gift card prop for Chris Paul in Game 1, who had a really nice showing, 32 points, 9 assists, and 4 boards there for the point god. We're going to go ahead and roll it forward again, give you another opportunity as we're running out of games to do so. So in this one, as I mentioned, make sure to like and subscribe to the page to be eligible to win the gift card, which will be, let's go ahead and make it Giannis's points, rebounds, and assists for this game. How do you think the Greek Freak will come out after looking pretty decent in Game 1? Only 20 points. You might want a bit more from him, but still, you know, other guys are the ones that really need to show up. So we'll see how Giannis shows up in Game 2. His points, rebounds, and assists combined is the prop for this show. Let's jump into a few of the things specifically for Game 2, starting with the spread at -5. That's basically where it's been the whole time since the lines opened up for this game. And then the total is what has dropped considerably here. Started at 224.5, now down to 220 on most sites that you'll be able to find. So, you know, obviously everyone thinks 224.5 is too many points. There was 223 scored in Game 1. The pace is what I'll look at there at 101.5 in Game 1. A bit faster than I think even Chris Paul would like to play. He usually likes to chop it up and get it down into the high 90s. But the Bucks, I think they'll continue to try to look to push things, especially if Giannis is healthier. He's completely off of that injury report, not even questionable or anything. So, you know, we can expect him to just be Giannis at this point as best as he can for the rest of the series. And I do think he'll continue to get healthier. The name Greek Freak probably applies to his ability to heal as well as, you know, remain on the floor as he has. So, you know, looking at Game 1 and what went wrong for the Bucks, interestingly enough, both teams shot pretty much the same from the field, 40 of 88 for the Bucks, 41 of 88 for the Suns. The Bucks actually had more threes, more assists, and they really just and they out rebounded the Suns as well, which is what they've been doing, you know, all playoffs long, and which is why I was sort of saying at the top that I think the Game 1, which look, we all went in there, specifically myself, really felt good about the Suns. Hit a couple of really good bets there, the Suns and the over. The Suns -3.5 at the -3.5 at the half to be up, which they did all 3 of those things. So felt really good about that, and now kind of switching the tide back to feeling like the Bucks, you know, either way, even if they don't pull this game out, I feel good about taking them with the points specifically. As mentioned, regressing back to their mean in a good way for this team, as they just, you know, they gave up 26 free throw attempts, which the Suns cashed in for making 25 of them, outscoring the Bucks 25-9 at the free throw line, which is where the Bucks usually try to dominate teams, as they've actually fouled the least amount. They give up the least amount of free throws per game in the playoffs, and they shoot a ton of them. Obviously, Giannis contributing heavily to that. But, you know, Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton only had 2 combined free throw attempts in Game 1, something that I don't expect to continue. The rebounding margin, while they did win it, it was much closer than I think they'd like it to be. And I do think that, you know, that will continue, to be honest with you, as they've continued to out-rebound pretty much everybody they played in the regular season, and that continued into the playoffs. So really what we're looking at here is honestly Drew Holiday scoring 10 points, going 4 of 14 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3. Chris Middleton only getting 1 free throw attempt and only really having 2 points, or I believe 3 buckets that he made in the paint and specifically close to the restricted area. Not enough for him, as he needs to really start to get down low. We did mention, you know, I said before Game 1 that I expected Chris to have a little bit more trouble with the Suns than he's, you know, obviously would have had with the Hawks, who don't have anybody really. Without DeAndre Hunter, the Hawks were missing him. There was nobody to guard Chris Middleton. Not the case for the Suns with guys like Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges. And then you look at, you know, what Drew was supposed to do against Chris Paul, who went off in Game 1. I don't think even as good as Drew is, he's going to be able to shut down Chris Paul, maybe limit him. The problem is he did not fight over screens. He was supposed to be the guy draped over, all over CP3 all game. And due to some really solid screening and then forcing the Bucks to switch, that took Drew Holiday off of Chris Paul consistently. I don't think they can afford to do that. I think you're going to need to see Chris Paul Drew Holiday fighting over those screens so that guys like, Pat Connaughton, Bobby Portis, and Brook Lopez are not getting left out on an island with Chris Paul, who's just working them to his spots and pulling up from mid-range as, he shot, I believe, 65% from the field in game one, which was, incredible from him. So I actually do like his points again. I'm actually going to go ahead and take his combo again. His points, rebounds, and assists is at 35.5. Really like that bet. Similarly, as we were mentioning Giannis a second ago, also really like his 43.5 points, rebounds, and assists combined. I think he'll be able to get over that mark. And then, as I mentioned, I do like Milwaukee at plus 5.5. If you'd like to go ahead and maybe take a teaser, get even money at plus 100 on FanDuel, go ahead and take Milwaukee plus 9.5. You get 4 points there, and then 4 points on the over. So you only have to go over 216. I feel really, really solid about both those bets and getting even money back on those teases. And then specifically for Milwaukee, as we said, they did shoot very well from three, but they also missed a ton of open shots. If you look at the 31 3-point attempts they had 36. 31 of those were considered open. And I believe 16 of those were considered wide open, according to Cleaning the Glass, which has some great stats there for you, specifically in terms of how open shooters are, to really get a feel for, was this good defense or was this really kind of bad offense? And despite making 16 threes, I would say the Bucks left a number of really solid opportunities on the table, something I don't think we'll see in game two. And I do think that with Dario Saric out, it's something that we should talk about. His ACL causing him to miss definitely the rest of the playoffs is what we're thinking here. He is their backup center. Having him on the floor is really nice when Ayton's not there. It's interesting actually in the playoffs when Saric is on the floor and Ayton is not. The Suns are plus 14.5. In terms of the plus minus there, which is obviously looks really good for Saric, especially when he's able to be that small ball five on the second unit. Now you're looking at Torrey Craig, and what that means is a lot less offense. And honestly, looking at Torrey Craig's plus minus during the regular season, when he was on the floor, it was minus 12.4, over a large sample size, but still not a good number for a team that was winning a ton of games by a decent margin each time. So Torrey Craig obviously is a huge downgrade from Dario Saric, which I think will be important for that second unit and guys like Chris Middleton. And if you see Giannis playing the small ball five there on the second unit as well, there's not really going to be anybody to even come close to protecting that paint. We'll see how Frank Kaminsky is able to come in and maybe help out, but not looking as good for the Suns without Saric. So yeah, like I have been saying, game two to me, I do think this series is going to go past 4 games for sure. I think we're going to see a Milwaukee win soon enough. I'm not positive it's tonight, but I think 5.5 points is too many. Feel good about teasing that up, and honestly taking the Bucks 108.5 total, just their team total over. I also really, really like that. I saw them score 105 points with Drew Holiday only putting up 10, and nobody else really giving them much in terms of Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis off the bench, not really contributing the way that they would need to in terms of their point total when guys like Drew Holiday are not contributing. So we'll see exactly how this one goes. I also will finish with because I do like Milwaukee, at least to come close to being able to win this one, and definitely like them in game 3, especially if they're down 0-2. I would consider actually Phoenix in 6 right now. You get plus 440 on your money right now. Phoenix in 6 games on FanDuel. That sounds really good to me. I still like the Suns to take this series, but it is going to be a back and forth. And at the end, I do think it's going to be Chris Paul standing there holding the trophy over his head. He's on a mission. So game 2, it's going to be a little bit back and forth. But if you like right now, Phoenix in 6 plus 440, and also Chris Paul to win that MVP, it's actually down to about 140 when it was 155 before game 1. It's probably either him or Book. And look, the narrative is pretty clear. What I think most people want to see is give Chris Paul that finals MVP for his first championship. So at any rate, y'all, make sure to like and subscribe to that page. The gift card opportunity for today is Giannis Antetokounmpo's points, rebounds, and assists combined in game 2. Make sure that you jump in the comments. Let us know what you think there. Having some fun as we roll along in the NBA Finals. Be back for another video for you guys on Sunday. And until then, happy betting.